Hi there, I'm Pate Fenza from Cuisine 4D, and today we'll be making a tiny parametric racetrack. Okay, so the very first thing we need is a cube. Let's see, could be a bit lower, like 40 centimeters. Let's make a copy of it. I'm using my Control key and my Shift key here, so I can constrain the movement. Now I'm going to switch to top view, so I can draw a spline which I will use as a path for our camera. Let's see. Alright, just a very simple path, but it'll do. Great. I'll use my middle mouse button to go back to the perspective view. And let's bring the spline up a bit. There it is. Okay, let's put the first cube inside of a Voronoi fracture, so we get some rocks. I only need vertical rocks. So I'm going to change the distribution type to exponential, and I'm only going to use the y-axis. Okay, let's set the y transformation to 39. And let's set standard deviation to its maximum value. Alright. I think I'm going to need a lot more rocks than just 20, so I'm going to use like, I don't know, 500. This is looking much better. Just vertical rocks, great. Okay, I'm going to create a camera, let's see. And I'm going to put the camera inside of a null, because it's always better to animate a null than the object itself. I'm using my Alt-G key here. Now I want the camera to move along the spline, so I need an align to spline tag. And I'm going to put the spline inside of the spline path. I'm going to check tangential, so it takes over the rotation of the spline. And when I now change my position, let's see. Yep, there we go. The camera is moving along the spline. But I need the camera to go up a bit, so I'm going to set the y-axis to like 2 centimeters, so it can look over the surface. Okay, let's put a keyframe at the start of my timeline. And let's put one at the end. I'm going to set this to 100%. And when I now play the animation, yep, it's working. But when you look at the camera, you can see it changes speed when it comes near a bend. This is because the type of spline we're using, so we have to set that to uniform intermediate points instead. And I'm going to add a lot more points, like 64. Now it's still animating with an easy ease, but that's okay, that's the default of cinema. So let's add some movement to our rocks. Let's see, I'm going to use a plane effector. And it's moving all rocks up way too high, so let's see. I'm going to change the Y to 35. Now I only want the rocks to go up that are near to the camera. So let's use a spherical field. As you can see, the spherical field is already influencing those rocks, but it's in the wrong position. I need the spherical field to be a child of the camera. So let's drag it underneath. Let's zero out the spherical field's position using my Alt-0 key. Okay, let's play the animation again. Okay, it's working, but as you can see, the rocks are blocking out the view of the camera. Let's use our spline as a field. We have to set it to radius instead of along. And I'm going to give it a radius of like 25. I'm going to the remapping tab and I'm going to set the inner offset to 100%. And as you can see, it's now using the spline as an influence for the rocks. I need our spline to subtract influence of our spherical field, so let's change normal to subtract. Okay, let's play the animation again. And there we go. As you can see, the rocks are going back down again after the spherical field is passed. So we need a decay to keep them up. I'm going to set the decay to 100%. Let's try again. Much better. Okay, to add some more flavor to the scene, we could use some ambient occlusion. I'm going to hide the spline as well as the spherical field. And let's look through our camera. Wow, there we go. Okay, let's select our Voronoi fracture. And I'm going to use my Ctrl and Shift key again to make a copy. Alright. Next I'm going to make a matrix object. I'm going to set the mode to honeycomb. I'm going to use the y-axis instead. Okay, let's move to our top view using the middle mouse button again. And let's put it right on top of our second Voronoi fracture. Okay. Next I'm going to select my Voronoi fracture. I'm going to the sources and I'm going to delete the default source. And I'm going to use the matrix object instead. I can hide the matrix object now. Wow, would you look at that? Wow, all those tiny honeycombs. Because we made a copy of the original Voronoi fracture, this Voronoi fracture is already affected by our plane effector. So when we go back to top view and we make our spline visible, we can edit our spline. Okay. Let's see, I'm going to hide my spline again. I'm going to look through our camera. Let's play the animation again. Wow, très belle. Look at all those tiny honeycombs. So to make your own animation, you can just copy the Voronoi fracture and use any source you want. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. A bon appetit.